less talked about. Experts indicate that workplace violence and harassment is prevalent, pervasive, and doing huge damage. Yet most people, mainly women, don't report it. Various stakeholders, including trade unions, Ministry of Labour, international labour organizations, as well as gender experts and researchers, held a virtual meeting today on the impact of violence in the world of work and strategies to mitigate its effects. I'm now joined on the line by Janet Jockey, the Assistant Education Coordinator at Metal and Allied Namibia Workers Union, to share more. A very good evening there, Janet, and thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Good evening, and thanks for having me on this program.
Now, what were some of the highlights at today's seminar?
Okay, today we highlighted the importance of our labor system has to play in fighting and addressing the violence and harassment in the world of work. Now, if we look at Section 5 of our Labor Act of 2007, the Act doesn't in detail deal with such issues, while the Convention 190 clearly stipulates that any sort of harassment, whether verbal, physical, or emotional, are prohibited. And to assign, and then we ask the labor to assign a specialist person on violence and harassment department to the Department of Labor Inspectorate and Occupational Health and Safety to assist with employment cases. The other issue that we have was the government, the employers, and the trade unions all should play part in finding ways and mechanisms to ensure that violence and harassment are completely eliminated from our workplaces and our society, as well as gender-based violence.
Right. Now, Janet, we are talking about violence and harassment, and you did touch a bit on gender-based violence. How prevalent is this phenomena in Namibian workplaces? And if so, to what extent, Janet?
Okay. As much as we want to deny that our country is faced with violence, it doesn't and happens occasionally. We have to face the fact that our members and our society are very vulnerable, and our government really has to step in, hold hands with trade unions to eliminate this. So I think it's a daily occurrence. It happens every day.
Right. Now, is there a reluctance from employees to really bring up some of these issues that they are faced at their workplaces in terms of sexual harassment, violence at work, derogatory statements? Is there a reluctance for these people to really just come up and verbalize or vocalize them?
Yes, there is, because the main cause of a person not to come out and report domestic violence is the fear of having to lose their jobs. So, and most especially men. Men will be harassed at workplaces, but then they have got the pride to think that if I come out with my harassment or violence at workplace, I'll be seen as a weak link. And we are encouraging our members at the union level that harassment can happen to anyone. It doesn't discriminate, or there is no favor or saying that only women are being harassed. It happens both ways. So yes, there are people that are being harassed, but then due to the fear of losing their job, they are being silenced. So it is happening.
Right. Now, we are running out of time, but what would you say are the contributing factors, and who are generally some of the victims here? Because you did again mention that men are generally reluctant to bring up some of some experiences. But then, what would you say the contributing factors to some of these acts at the workplace?
Okay, the contributing factors would be there are many things. One of them would be a manager or a person in a superior position entrusted to lead those people might use their position to abuse their power and maltreat their fellow colleagues. So it can be that there might be sexual advances towards female employees, and when they say no, then they are being harassed, or then they are being forced, or then they are being pressured to be dismissed from work, and then this all leads to harassment. So there are many factors to contribute harassment at workplaces and violences.
Right. Now, just lastly, how often do you offer education to this particular regard to your members and also just to general and to other people of society to essentially to look at ways to mitigate and to stop violence and harassment at the workplaces?
Okay. We do this daily. There is not a specific day that we don't teach our members on harassment and on ways how to mitigate harassment at workplaces. And luckily for us, we have a training center where we train and equip shop stewards in all our region. And these shop stewards then go back and then educate members. But then when we receive complaints daily at our offices, it's our daily job to really educate them and to show them the mechanisms and strategies on how to deal with violences and to avoid them, and what mechanisms are put in place, like grievance procedures and those.
Right. I mean, before I let you go, something I didn't want to touch on a bit, what is the general sentiment that you get from those that do attend or some that are getting your education in terms of the information that you're providing to them?
There's the people that we are really normally training are shop stewards, and they would give us what they would like to be trained on, and then they would give us issues to target on gender-based violence and gender issues and violence at work. And so we really equip them, and we really focus on the points that they are raising, and that's what, and then we give them a platform on to share their experiences at their workplaces or difficulties they are facing towards violence at workplaces, and that's what we are tackling.
Janet Jockey, thank you very much for your contribution. We really appreciate it. We are out of time, unfortunately.
Thank you very much.
That was Janet Jockey, the Assistant Education Coordinator at Metal and Allied Namibian Workers Union, to share with us some more on workplace violence as well as harassment.